My jealous stepsister hijacked my 18th birthday party for her baby's gender reveal, so I exposed her secrets at her engagement party. So I, 18 female, have an older stepsister. Jade, 22 female, is a terrible person, and I really don't like her. The feelings are mutual because I'm sure Jade hates me even more than I hate her. My mom married her dad when I was 14 and she was 18, and I did try to get along with her in the beginning, but my efforts were never reciprocated. She always tried to put me down and humiliate me in front of other people. So eventually, I started doing the same to her. We'd just be taking passive-aggressive pot shots at each other and turn it into a competition, which would make everyone else in the room feel very uncomfortable. So our parents spoke to us, and only then did we stop doing that. But she still found other ways to get under my skin, and so did I. She crossed the line a few weeks ago, though, and I decided that I'd had enough. Jade was 5 months pregnant around the time of my 18th birthday, which was 3 weeks ago. I was supposed to have a little celebration at home first with my family and friends, and then I was going to go out to a bar with my friends. It was going to be the perfect day, but Jade, being Jade, totally ruined it for me. I wasn't involved in the party planning at all because my parents had told me that, since it was my birthday. My only job was to sit back and enjoy while they did all the work to surprise me. They didn't even let me stay at home that day and sent me to spend the day at my grandparents' house so that they could put up the decorations and everything. In the evening, they finally told me that they were ready for me, so my grandparents and I got dressed and headed over to my house. They'd done up the living room really beautifully and elegantly, just how I like it. Everything just oozed oomph and class. And I was very impressed by what my mother and stepdad had managed to pull off because this was just my dream fish. There was a massive cake as well in the shape of a panda, which is my favorite animal. I even have a panda stuffed toy that my dad gave me before he passed, so that was a really sweet and meaningful gesture. Beside it, there was a much smaller cake with vanilla icing and a smiley face on it. I was kind of confused about it and asked my mom about the smaller cake, and she told me that it was what Jade had brought for the party. It made me very suspicious that Jade had brought anything for the party at all, let alone a cake, and I could sense that something was off, but it was my birthday, and I didn't want to ruin it by overthinking. So I ignored the cake and Jade standing beside it, which I probably shouldn't have. The guests started arriving after a while, and once everyone was there, we decided that it was finally time to cut the cakes. Everyone sang the song, "I Cut the Cake," and people looked really happy all around. I was just about to cut the second smaller cake, because I'd assumed that if Jade really had brought that for me, then she'd want me to cut that one as well. But she stopped me and told me that she actually had an announcement to make with a really smug look on her face. And that's when I knew that this cake wasn't meant for me at all. She confirmed what I already had been thinking and announced that it was actually a gender reveal cake, which led to very excited clapping and squealing from my family, not my friends though. They knew my feelings towards Jade and refrained from showing any emotion about her announcement at all. It was exactly as I'd feared, but I couldn't really yell at her right then and there because I didn't want to throw a temper tantrum and ruin my own birthday party. I'm pretty sure that that's exactly what she'd wanted in the first place, so by keeping my cool, I was taking the high road instead of playing right into her hands. She then proceeded to cut the cake, and it was pink on the inside. I put on my best smile and even hugged her first before her boyfriend could since she was standing right beside me. For the next half an hour, people pretty much forgot about their real purpose to gather at my house that day, and it became the Jade Show once more. Everyone was congratulating her, talking to her about baby names, and just being generally excited for her. I wouldn't even have resented any of that had it not been on my birthday. My mom made sure that I was all right, but after that, even she joined in on the excitement over the gender reveal. My stepdad obviously had forgotten about me entirely, and even though I try my best not to be bitter about my real dad not being around anymore, it was hard for me in that moment to avoid the bitterness. Had my own dad been around that day, he would have made sure that nobody forgot about me. So I spent the rest of the party sitting with my friends and quietly finished a slice of cake, just my own though. I didn't even touch Jade's gender reveal cake because I was repulsed by her. After around 45 minutes, I decided that I couldn't take this anymore, and it was time for my friends and I to leave. So, we said our goodbyes and headed straight to the bar so that I could at least enjoy the rest of my night. My friends were really helpful and tried to make me feel better, and after spending some time with them, I did indeed feel better. But I wasn't going to forget the way Jade stole my 18th birthday from me and made it all about herself. It just wasn't forgivable, and I knew that sooner or later, I'd definitely do something to get back at her. And just 2 days after my birthday, Jade told us that her boyfriend had proposed to her and she'd said yes, so they were now officially engaged. My parents were thrilled about it and decided to throw them a party to celebrate their engagement, and I was extremely jealous of that because here she was being celebrated again and again just because she got knocked up, and she couldn't even let me have one day for my birthday. I hated that. and I decided that I'd do something to ruin her engagement party just like she'd ruined my 18th birthday party. So they finally had the party a week ago, and it was a much bigger and grander affair than my birthday party, which had been hosted at our house. My parents had booked a fancy restaurant for the evening, and they'd gone all out and invited all of our family, friends, and of course, Jade's boyfriend's family and friends as well. I was on my best behavior that day, and during the days leading up to the party, because I knew that what I was about to do would piss my parents off really bad. And I didn't want them to realize how hurt I was, or else they might prevent me from executing my plan at all. The evening went smoothly for the most part, and everyone was having fun and drinking, except Jade obviously, and right before dinner was served, I decided to do it. I stood up and raised a toast to Jade and her boyfriend, and my family looked surprised because this was something nobody would have ever thought would happen. Me raising a toast to Jade of all people was strange enough and earned me a lot of curious looks, so people were even more stunned when I started with the speech I'd been practicing for 2 days. I said a couple of nice things about Jade, which was really difficult for me because, as you all know by now, she's a horrible person, but I had to power through it somehow to get to the most important part of my speech. I started narrating this one conversation between my mother and Jade that I'd overheard a few months back. I think it was around the time that Jade had just found out that she was pregnant and had immediately turned to my mother for help, because even my mom had me when she was really young in her 20s, so she needed all the advice and help that she could get. I was sitting in the same room, but I had my headphones on, so they figured that I couldn't hear anything, but I could. I was in between songs, and the second I realized that Jade and my mom were talking about something serious, I decided to pay attention because I wanted to know why exactly Jade and my mother were whispering right in front of me. Apparently, they'd been talking about how Jade just didn't feel ready for a baby yet and was only putting on a brave and excited front because she didn't want her boyfriend to feel disappointed. She hadn't talked to him about it yet, but she was in two minds and actually wanted to get rid of the baby since she didn't feel like she was ready to become a mother, neither mentally and definitely not physically. My mother told her that she'd felt the same way when she found out that she was pregnant with me, and reassured her that these were feelings that would go away with time. Eventually, she said that it was totally normal to be nervous about something as big as this, and she definitely felt differently a few months in. Then Jade said something that even I was shocked by and had to try hard to prevent the shock from showing on my face. She told my mother that even if she did manage to come to terms with the pregnancy and prepare herself for it both mentally and physically, she still had her doubts about her boyfriend. She said that she thought her boyfriend was still extremely immature and irresponsible and didn't believe that he was ready to be a dad yet. He wasn't even ready to commit to her and get married, so she was down if he'd commit to fatherhood since that was a much bigger deal to her right now. She was essentially just complaining that her boyfriend hadn't proposed to her yet, even though they'd been together for 6 years and were even about to welcome a baby together. So she thought that if they were too young to get married, then they were too young to have a child as well, and she was right. She did have a point there. She even said that she'd break up with him and terminate the pregnancy if he didn't propose to her by the end of the first trimester. My mother advised her to stick it out, and he'd definitely come around eventually, which he did. So I ended my speech by congratulating them and telling them that I was really proud of both of them since they'd been able to make it really far and had proved that time fixes everything. Now, to everyone else, this speech was so inspirational and proved that love and time are all that a relationship needs to thrive. But only Jade and I knew the real reason I said this out loud. While I was talking, I could see Jade's boyfriend's face becoming redder by the second because obviously he didn't know about any of this. He had no idea that he was about to get dumped almost 2 months ago, but for whatever reason, Jade changed her mind. He looked disheartened and angry all at once, and I knew my job here was done. Only our immediate family, my mom, my stepdad, and Jade's mom knew that the consequences of my bringing this up would not be good, and it definitely wasn't. Nothing happened immediately after the party because neither Jade nor her boyfriend wanted to fight at the party. But things tensed up literally that very night itself, since Jade called my mother up a few hours after she got home and told her that my speech had caused a huge fight between her and her boyfriend, just as I'd intended. It's been a week since then, and they're still fighting because obviously her boyfriend feels really betrayed that she didn't have any faith in him. She's been arguing that the only reason she even said all that to my mom was because she felt lost and needed advice, since he always seemed too busy to have time for her. And she didn't think that he was taking this whole thing as seriously as he should. I don't know what they're fighting about right now exactly, but I can tell that things haven't improved since last week, and they might even break up. This is why my mother wants me to apologize to Jade and her boyfriend and tell them that Jade hadn't actually meant any of it back then and I'd been exaggerating. First of all, that's not even true. She definitely did mean it because I could see her face and tell that she was serious about what she was saying, and secondly, I don't think I owe Jade anything at all, let alone an apology. She's a terrible and self-involved person, and she's literally done nothing but put me down for the past 4 years of my life, so why on earth would I apologize to someone like that? I told my parents that I wasn't going to apologize as soon as they suggested it, but my mother told me that if I didn't apologize, I could kiss my college fund goodbye, which is the only reason I'm even here considering it. Obviously, I don't want to apologize to Jade. I don't think I did anything wrong, but my mother said that whatever I did was messed up. Jade did make my birthday all about herself, but that's literally nothing in comparison to what I did in order to retaliate. Ruining someone's birthday party is not the same as ruining someone's relationship of 6 years, especially when they're engaged and about to have a baby. She believes that I should have cut her some slack because she's pregnant and has enough on her plate already, and what I did was seriously juvenile. So, if I don't make things right, then I'll have to pay the price by losing out on my college fund, which I absolutely cannot afford to do. I'm supposed to start in a few months, and I'd be totally lost without the financial aid that I need. I absolutely have no idea what to do now. I know that my mother is serious about her threat. She's always been a strict disciplinarian, and I know she's not kidding. I obviously have no interest in even speaking to Jade, let alone apologizing to her for something that I really think she deserved. But my mother also has a point. I did enjoy the second half of my day when I was out with my friends, so it's not like she ruined my whole day just a party at home, but even then there's just a lot of bitterness and resentment there. And I can't seem to get over that, which is why I'm here for answers, because I think I need a stranger's perspective on this. AITA for trying to ruin my stepsister's relationship at her engagement party after she did a gender reveal at my birthday party without asking me? Update 1. So, I've read and gone through all the opinions here, and I've also done some contemplating myself and come to the conclusion that I absolutely do not need to apologize to Jade. She's been getting on my nerves ever since our parents got married, and I just couldn't stand it anymore. Even when we're no longer living together, she can't stand the fact that I'm finally happy and tries her best to hog the limelight all the damn time. It's like her life has no purpose if she's not trying to push someone to their very limit, and isn't this exactly what she wanted from me anyway? She wanted me to react badly to what she'd done so that people would sympathize with her and make me look like the bad guy here, which is exactly what's happening, except that now I just don't care. My mother can side with her stepdaughter all she wants, it makes no difference to me anymore. She can't keep my college fund from me, though, because I spoke to my grandparents, my dad's parents, and they informed me that my mom was just bluffing to scare me into apologizing because legally, she cannot withhold that money from me. My dad left it behind for me before he passed, so now I have no reason to be afraid of anything, and no incentive to apologize either. And if you really think about it, then I did Jade's boyfriend a favor by letting him know what Jade had been saying earlier. The poor guy deserved to know. I've also made up my mind that I'm going to move out now because clearly my mother and my stepdad are both more concerned about Jade. My mother has been very curt and cold towards me since the party, and my stepdad has stopped speaking to me altogether, which isn't even surprising. They can keep Jade, and I'll go away because that's obviously what they want. My grandparents have agreed to let me stay with them, and in a few months I'll be leaving for college anyway, so this won't matter. I'm obviously hurt by everything that's going on, but I can't help the situation anymore since they've decided that Jade is the victim here, and I'm the villain. So be it. I'll play the damn villain if they want to remain blind to Jade's flaws and continue to worship her while treating me like crap. Then maybe it's time for me to get the hell out of here. Update 2. Okay, I finally moved out today. I packed my stuff up with the help of my grandpa and moved into their house a few hours ago. They'd been on good terms with my mother even after my dad passed away, but now they didn't want anything to do with her after what I told them. My mother didn't even try to stop me, and the only thing she said was that I wasn't allowed to take my laptop because she'd gifted that to me. I didn't take it. It sucks that she doesn't care anymore, but I should have seen this coming. After she got married, her priorities changed, and she went from being my mother to my stepdad's wife. Sure, they did try to make it seem like they treated me and Jade equally well, but only I was aware of the truth. They hid it well from the world, which was why they'd throw me grand birthday parties and buy me really expensive gifts once in a while to pacify me and make me believe that they really did love me. But materialistic gifts can't replace the love and affection that kids expect. Maybe I was okay with it for a while and tried to force myself to believe that they did love me just as much, but I just cannot pretend anymore. It's Jade who's their #1 priority, and it always will be. I can't change that no matter how much I cry about it, but I can remove myself from the situation so that it doesn't hurt anymore. So that's what I'm doing now. I bet Jade will have a field day when she learns that. I've moved out. She did send me a text last night gloating about how despite my best efforts to break them up, she and her boyfriend are still together, but I ended up losing my family. I had, since she knows that my mom isn't speaking to me anymore. That really stung because it was a dig at me not having a dad now, and I think that was just disgusting. My dad passed away 2 years ago from Parkinson's, and he was really young as well. My parents got divorced when I was just 4, but they continued to co-parent me. And my dad had always been the fun parent. I'd always been more connected to him, so losing him was the biggest tragedy to ever happen to me, and for Jade to make fun of that was just awful. I've never mocked her parents' divorce because I know that would be unacceptable, and I expected the same from her, but clearly, I shouldn't have. She is trash, and she always will be. I'm actually really happy that I didn't apologize to her and decided to move out instead. My mother, my stepdad, and Jade are all the same kind of people. Even during the time that my mother was dating my stepdad, she'd leave me at my dad's place for hours even though it was her turn to take care of me, knowing that he was sick, but he never made me feel like I was a burden on him. Jade wasn't really nice to me back then, but she'd at least be civil since our parents weren't married yet, so I wasn't like a direct competitor. That's my guess as to why she hated me so much, but the point is, my mother didn't make much of an effort to build a real meaningful relationship with me unlike my father, and after she started dating my stepdad, whatever weak little relationship we'd managed to build also faded into the background, as she thought that her new family was more important to her. I'm just trying to make sense of it all right now, since even though it was my call to move out, I still feel awful. Don't get me wrong, I love my grandparents and think they're the absolute best, but I also can't bring myself to accept the fact that my mother just doesn't care. It's hard for me to stomach that, and maybe someday I will, but right now I can't. It hurts too much. Jade was right in a way, because even though I didn't lose the only family that I had, I did end up losing the only parent I still have. I have family who love me, like my grandparents and aunt, my dad's older sister, but they can't replace my mom. I know I was just complaining about how we didn't have a strong mother-daughter bond, but at least it was there, no matter how weak it was. But now we've both chosen to sever those ties, and it just sucks. I'm all over the place right now, and I think I might start crying, so I'll end it here. Thank you guys for all the advice and kind words. It really does mean the world to me. Update 3. Hi, it's been a while since I moved out, and I just thought I'd update you guys on what I'm up to now. I started college a couple of months ago, and it's been great. Better than anything I'd imagined. I've also started therapy to deal with my baggage, and I've got to say, it really does help. I don't speak to my mother, stepdad, or Jade anymore, and haven't heard from them since I blocked them, and they didn't make any extra effort to get in touch with me either, and you know what? I'm okay with that. I still have people like my grandparents, my aunt, and my friends who I can count on, and who have my back for sure. That's all I need, honestly.